and welcome to the Toonami Squad Podcast Sessions, episode 15. How's it going? I am your host, Eric Casey, also known as Outlaw Star 5 on Twitter.
I am JMD, aka The Boss, founder of Toonami Squad.
I'm Sam, I write.
I'm Silver, I make thumbs.
Yay!
That was the least awkward intro.
We did it!
Gold star.
Moving. I don't like that.
Nails
What?
pace, but we're getting there. So yeah, episode 15. We got a lot of big news has happened since we last did an episode on here. The topics that we have for you today is the fact that Sony has acquired a substantial amount of funds from Funimation. Toonami's has moved back to 11 p.m. Outlaw Star is rolling the dice again on our friendly neighborhood block. We have some not.
I almost
we don't
imagine
have
Tom just coming in with like a web slinger and just shooting in.
And the final two topics is the Total Immersion event countdown, and a topic that has been kind of going around lately is the declining ratings of Toonami lately. So I guess let's dive right into it and start off with the Sony Funimation edition accusation thing, or acquisition. There we go. Bleh, can't speak. But yeah. So from what I've heard, based on this topic, is that like some fans are worried, others are excited. I'm kind of in the middle. There's part of me that's like, hey, that's awesome, but there's also a part of me where I'm kind of worried because I don't know if Sony, they're just basically they know what they're doing with their video game stuff, but everything else they're failing at it miserably, and it worries me. So it's a great music library that Funimation is acquiring with that
No.
partnership.
The thing is that Sony themselves did not buy them out. It was Sony Pictures Television, which is a division of Sony, but it is not a part of the Sony, like the main corporation. So they have no ties with Aniplex USA, ties with Sony Music of Japan. They have no ties with Sony Pictures or Columbia Pictures or any other film subsidiary that Sony owns. In fact, I don't even think like they're even a part of like the PlayStation division, which is another division of Sony. Right. So I've been kind of like, whatever. This is neat. I don't know what Sony wanted Funimation for. Maybe to distribute shows they want. I have no clue. I don't know what Sony's motives are. Yeah,
because it just seems like to me like this is just another example of just a corporation trying and absorb another successful sort of company. Before like kind of like what Google did with YouTube and everything.
I mean, to be fair, this isn't like a complete buyout. It's just an acquisition. So the thing is that Gen Fukunaga still has stake in the company, 5%, and ultimately he's still going to be running it, and the company is going to be still doing their own thing. Sony's not going to have any say in what they do. I think this may be interesting because I've heard this theory going around that Sony may ultimately help Funimation with funds for acquiring more anime.
Which would be freaking awesome. That would be amazing.
Right now we're dealing with Amazon and Netflix throwing their money into the ring and be like, we want this show.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, smaller companies like Crunchyroll, which I say smaller, but they're a big anime distributor in North America, at least for streaming, but they are relatively small compared to Amazon and Netflix amount of cash.
Yeah. But having Sony at your beck and call, yes, that is beneficial.
Yes, but that means Funimation is back in the running for big hits, where Amazon and Netflix would have to be outbidding Sony's money for it. If that's the case, I have no clue, because for all we know, they could just be operating normally, and Sony could not give them 1 cent.
Then what's the motivation? I mean, I don't know. It's really baffling Because
I don't know.
It just
Maybe
came
they
out of
just
left
see.
field. I don't know.
Maybe they just see value in. I mean, to be fair, Funimation is the largest North American distributor of anime. That's just plain fact. So they must see value in that market because I think it was reported that Funimation's Blu-ray and DVD sales have gone up, whereas other companies' Blu-ray sales have gone down. And in this day and age where everyone's going digital, that's pretty impressive, and Sony must see value in that.
Yeah, but like again, like are they doing it to help benefit them? And like you said, will they support them? Or are they just doing it trying to basically leech off Funimation's success and,
I don't think that to be the case. I don't know how companies go about these deals and be like, well, we want this much stake into your company. It's probably a very long, complicated thing where
legal bullshit.
Like I said, I don't understand, but I do get the fact that if there's a market for something, you should strike at it, and that's what these big companies are going after. There was a point where anime was big. That was like, I would say, like every network. This reminds me a lot of like how TV networks worked back in the early 2000s. Everyone was trying to grab their big hit anime, and now it seems like streaming sites are seeing the potential revenue that they could be seeing with anime fans subscribing to their services.
Yeah, because it does bring it does bring more diversity to the content being provided. Definitely.
This could also extend further.
Actually, that's an interesting thing that you bring up. Actually, because to be fair though, too, the PlayStation video game stuff that Sony's been doing has helped kind of the push toward 4K and all that stuff. Like the PlayStation has really helped like Sony's 4K TVs, even though not so much still, but the market is growing. And from my understanding, like they're including like subscription services like PlayStation View, Netflix, and all that kind of stuff. So that could be something where we'd be seeing like Funimation now, the streaming service on a Sony TV or and things like that.
Maybe
that could be something that
you never know.
Yeah,
I mean, there could also be a potential that a Funimation channel could launch on PlayStation View. You never know, I mean, there's tons of possibilities that could happen, but we don't know because this deal has still yet to be finalized because it has to go through review for the government. Although it probably shouldn't take much longer.
Yeah,
I think that's the main key about the whole acquisition. It's basically, okay, Sony bought majority stake on Funimation, and that's about all we can gather. If we try to find the logic behind buying it, the only thing I could think of is the same thing that's been happening with Amazon and Netflix. They just want to get into the anime game. That's debatable too.
Well, the thing is,
it's basically wait and see.
Yeah.
It's too early to actually just say that, oh no, it's gonna be terrible. Oh no, it's gonna be great.
I do agree with that, and don't get me wrong. I'm basically going with the wait and see approach to it. But the only concern that I have with it is that I have seen Sony, just Sony in general, like try to pursue like gimmicks and trends and shit, and then not following up on it. The PlayStation Vita is a perfect example when they were trying. That was basically them trying to get into like the handheld market, and now do they?
Well, I mean, they had the PSP before it.
But the thing is, like
everyone thinks the Vita is a good system,
and they don't even promote it anymore.
Well, they never promoted it in the first place. They never had games for it.
But that's my point though. They do it at like they make like a heat of the moment type of thing where they see potential in something, then they don't try to explore that potential. Sometimes they just make a deal and then they just let it sit.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe.
It's basically
a good way to describe Sony's anime that they licensed. They just practically licensed it and sat on them.
So I feel like there's valid concerns on both.
Finally, get the Cowboy Bebop collection together. The movie and the series. Just saying, it's a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
Anytime.
No, it's a again. That's what can I say? I feel like there's valid concerns on both sides, but there is optimism if Sony does does contribute to it a bit, and that's what we hope for. I think that's what I'm hoping for. I just hope they don't leave it behind like they've done with other things.
This is an exciting time. I at least think so.
Yeah, I feel like the anime market. Just when you think like the anime market can't really grow, it seems to find a way. This entertainment industry, it's weird how it's growing, but it's finding ways to grow, and didn't really expect it, but it's weird.
I should also add
in the middle of a kinda ish different golden age. Back in the 90s, anime was on television. It was Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and basically whatever else everyone tried to desperately getting their hands on. And now instead of TV, it's just streaming.
Yeah, streaming has really contributed a lot to the competition. It's going to be interesting, especially I feel like there are a very wide range of material to go through now, though, too. Like I feel like there's a good 2 or 3 shows that come out every year that are pretty solid, that you could possibly pick up and it could be somewhat successful. I've been watching My Hero Academia lately, and I think that has potential to be a really great show. It is right now. It's like the top trending show right now, from what I've seen on Crunchyroll every weekend and everything.
I will say we shouldn't worry about like the Crunchyroll Funimation deal. I doubt that'll be affected much.
No. I read Funimation put out a statement about the Sony thing, and they said like basically everything's not affected. It's just we're sort of a part of Sony now, basically.
It's basically something happened in the background, but everything's the same.
But also, to be fair though too, even if something does begin to go down, you, the people, have the right to, say your criticisms, and then you could tweet at Sony. You could tweet at, Funimation and say this is bullshit. Hey.
People say that all the time on their Twitter.
I know, but I'm just saying, if the Xbox One proved anything, it's if you yell loud enough, companies will hear you. So, just keep your eye on it, and again, this could be big for Funimation. Like, this is Sony at your beck and call is a good friend when you think about it. And like Sam said, where if you have Sony in your back, having your back, and if you want to try to acquire shows and things like that, I'd say that's a really good thing, because that means more English dubs coming down the pipe too. So, and especially for like some shows that may not have an opportunity to get dubbed, now they do with Sony's money behind them. So it can be very beneficial.
Dubbing process. Well, dubbing is expensive, but Funimation usually covers that.
Yeah, but maybe a deal can work out, depending on, negotiations and things like that. The thing is, Sony can be a powerful asset if people play their cards right. But Sony's got to be able to play ball as well, and that's the only concern. Will Sony play ball, in my opinion?
Yeah, because a lot of times Sony is basically that kid that says, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make a lemonade stand and do it for a month. Makes a lemonade stand. 2 days later, I'm bored with it.
I'm bored. Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of putting it, actually. And they don't even like tear it down or anything. They just leave it in the front yard.
Leave the lemonade stand. They forgot to take back the glass. They just
no. They did. There's a distinct difference. They didn't forget about it. They just left it be. They just leave it out there. They're too lazy to break it down and do something else with it.
Like 2 days later, leave it. You can still see the lemonade that they never got rid of.
It's like all gray and soggy looking now.
Ugh.
Yeah, it just stays there for months until someone bothers to just take that to the trash.
For your information, the lemonade is symbolic of the PlayStation Vita. But anyway.
Oh, come on, it wasn't that.
No, it's a great system. It's just Sony forgot it. Just Sony has just like, oh, that exists? Cool.
No, Sony's like, oh, we had a handheld?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. I forgot we
had a handheld?
Yeah, that thing that we
Money
tried
on
to
this
compete
thing?
with Nintendo
When
with.
did this happen?
Since when were we making those? Wait, it connects to a PS4? Holy shit, since when?
So yeah, that's the concern with Sony, and yeah, I would say that pretty much sums it up. So moving on from Sony, we move on to Toonami, moving back to 11 p.m. now, with reruns of Attack on Titan taking the 3 o'clock time slot, or
Yes.
3:30? Yeah,
3 o'clock.
Mhm.
I give it until maybe November till we switch back.
So what do we think of that? Do we think it'll do better? It'll stay the same? Will it get worse?
Well, we've kind of seen what's been going on. Dragon Ball Super has kind of been, let's say.
Yeah.
It's just been doing all right.
Mhm.
I
It
think
usually beats the 8:30 premiere, which
And I have to say, I kind of regret it, because I remember a couple episodes back where I was saying like, oh, this lineup of Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Kai, Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter, and just going right down the line.
And now, months later, we have Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z Kai,
yeah,
Attack on Titan.
we have that dream line. Well, in my opinion, that was going to be like the dream lineup, and the dream lineup is not doing good. The big three technically has kind of been like role players.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Dragon Ball shows did great. Everything else after Dragon Ball everything almost after Dragon Ball Z has always gone.
Yeah, sadly. I was kind of hoping Lupin would be a surprise hit, but I'm still loving
Seems
Lupin.
like nobody
but
cares for it.
Sadly, yeah. Which is
Boo.
disappointing.
No, I have to say, Lupin the Third confuses me a bit. Because-
Really?
Well, a few little details I've noticed. Whenever there's blood, it doesn't look like blood. It looks like oil. If you notice, the few times there's blood, it's not red. It looks black.
To be fair, I would say to be fair though with that, I think it might be the animation design, like the artistic design, and also it's kind of in low light. Because a lot of the scenes I've seen with blood, it hasn't been in daylight. It was mostly in like dark, shadowy areas. So it might be them just blending in, making it darker than instead of using the, possibly. That's how I've been looking at it. So.
Yeah, I thought that too, but there's been a few times where it does not look like the lighting is affecting it. It just looks like oil. Like at first I thought, oh, it must be the lighting effect because of the art. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks good. But there's been a few times where it does not look like it's really the lighting. It really does look like oil.
Mm-hmm.
So that part's been a bit weird for me. I'm not sure if that's actually normal for the normal broadcasts from Japan or the streaming, but that's a weird detail that suddenly when someone bleeds, it looks like they're robots instead of humans, just because you don't see anything red coming out.
Fair enough.
I don't know. That's just something I've been noticing. The other thing is, some of the voices. The main cast is always great, but last Saturday, one of the little girls from the agent's family.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that episode, so
You have a valid point. I noticed that too, yeah.
And sometimes the bad guys have like a really stereotypical voice. Like one of the mafiosos, I remember that in one episode, one of the mafiosos had the stereotypical gay voice.
Yes, yeah.
Which honestly, that took me out of it. Like, I expect it feminine, but I don't expect the full-on stereotype.
You have a valid point.
And then there's another episode where there's another mafioso, which sounds like the generic Italian gangster. I've been loving the show, but there's been a few times in the voice cast, never the main cast, but the rest, where it's been like, really?
I mean, I hear you, but I feel like
I've been loving it, honestly.
Yeah, because like Lupin for me is just one of those shows that it's really absurd. It really is, but that's the fun of it, and that's what makes it so much fun. That's what I like about it so much, is that it's an absurd sort of anti-James Bond type of show, and that's what I like about it. So even with this, even when you see like the stereotypical voices or anything like that, it's fine. You know, to me, it's no big deal. It's part of the. I treat it as part of the humor, actually.
Yeah, I think that helps. I think that because of the way that the show is, and because of how Lupin in the show is, I'm way more forgiving of some of the stereotypes and the little details, because honestly, the show's so much fun that you just forget about those details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the fun outweighs the questionable details.
It's a turn your brain off show and just enjoy.
Yeah,
because the absurdity is just it's so much fun. In terms, and that's the appeal.
And it's 100 times better than Tokyo Ghoul.
Trying to avoid that, but yes.
I will bring it up as many times as I have to. I do not like Tokyo Ghoul.
But even with that, though, I am sort of disappointed with it, because I wish it was doing better, because I feel like it is one of the better shows on the block right now.
One of the few shows that I can say that they've actually tried for variety.
But
it's not a knock against Toonami. I know their job is to get new people interested, but I've just gotten really bored of their lineup.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get into more details when we talk about the declining ratings, but no, I hear you. Basically, as a preview to that topic, you know, it's gotten stagnant. It really has.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they picked up shows like Dragon Ball Super and are finishing up DBZ Kai, and they got JoJo, but
it's a bit stale when nothing really changes.
Yeah, it's nice to, have something unexpected show up.
Yep.
Like Lupin was unexpected. Mm-hmm. I mean, back in 2016, Gundam was unexpected.
Yeah, Outlaw Star was unexpected too, even though everyone's seen it already. But I think
for the new generation watching, I'm sort of glad they picked that up. But we'll talk about that when we get to when we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely,
actually, that's a good segue.
I would still want to talk about this. But
say that some. Go for it.
I mean, it's just, I'm glad that Toonami's doing okay, but the lineup, like I said, is just like we were seeing pretty much. Oh, okay, that's your show pickup.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like back in 2014. It was like rapid fire of like, oh wow, that sounds cool. I want to watch this. I'm getting the same feelings that I felt like back in 2015, where I just didn't really care for what the lineup offered.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I feel like their job is to always first and foremost, think about new viewers and how you're going to introduce them.
Of course, because the classic Toonami fans is, I would say, definitely the backbone of the community, and so you would want to expand that and try to get new people in that haven't really experienced it before. It makes sense, you know.
My problem lies with just their method of, well, we're only getting like really requested shows and that's it. Maybe if know, we'll know about this, like what happens after DBZ Kai ends, or are they just gonna keep DBZ on for the sake of having DBZ, or are they kicking it to the curb? Because we don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting question with Kai after it airs.
It may sound crazy, but I think they would keep running Dragon Ball in the rerun slot at the bottom.
That would basically. Like, yeah, we're gonna keep it at 11. We're gonna keep it at 11:30.
No.
But I think that they would, after it ends, rerun it at the end of the block, and they wouldn't have to worry about choosing another rerun for
5 years.
How long has Dragon Ball Z Kai been airing at this point?
I think like about 2 or 3 years.
Exactly. So if they put Dragon Ball Z Kai at the back end, they wouldn't have to worry about, the rerun slot is empty. Shit, what are we gonna run? They wouldn't have to worry about that for 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like a plethora of other shows in their catalog that they could pull from.
And I'm sure people would want, because like, you know, people.
We got our DBZ fill. I mean, I like DBZ, but they have Super now, and I'd much rather they focus all their efforts on Super.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I thought it was a smart idea to bring Kai in. Well, honestly, I felt it would have been a tough decision, but I felt like it would have been smart to maybe have Kai and then bring in Super after Kai finished. But Super, the English dub, when they made that announcement, I thought that was the second. What they basically did was the second best thing, where they have Kai and Super back to back. So, you know, people are watching Kai and then go through all that, and that way they're all caught up for Super as they're experiencing Super as well. And to be fair,
that would have actually been a smart idea.
Yeah, for viewers wise, I get it, and I agreed with their decision of having them go back to back for now. For new viewers, I thought it was beneficial. For old viewers, I can understand why it's getting stagnant, because you know we've seen this already. But
it's not so much my problem with DBZ rerunning, because let's just face it, DBZ was a rerun and it led the block and it did tremendously well because people come for Dragon Ball Z.
Yep,
that's just a fact. Just like how people came for Bleach. No matter what.
Exactly.
Bleach was their anchor for years, and then DBZ came in and be like, "We're taking that spot." Go ahead, Sam. Intentional, because originally Attack on Titan was leading, and then we all know what happened after that. The block was cut down. They got rid of 11:30, and DBZ was their lead-in show.
Yep.
Which worked because that brought in viewers. It brought in old fans and people who've seen DBZ before, and probably new people who have never watched it.
Yep, absolutely. But now it's kind of, it has, like we said, gotten stagnant. But Silver, you know, when you were saying when maybe Kai goes on the reruns, or we're not sure what they're going to do, you know what I thought you were going to say?
What?
When Kai finishes, they start airing Dragon Ball GT.
No! No! Do not speak of that. You did not mention the word Dragon Ball and GT together. No.
Sorry, but that's where I thought you were going.
It's not canon. It does not exist, and it will confuse so many people.
I know. Couldn't resist that one though. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
Dragon Ball Super. Please. Running Super and Kai at the same time. Okay, it's a bit overkill, but it still works.
Because to an extent.
You can tell that Kai is before Super.
Right.
But if you put Super with GT, that's gonna confuse so many people because wait a minute, this show's older, but the characters look way older than in the previous show. Why? Wait, Goku can go Super Saiyan 4. Why can't he do that in the newer show? So for the people that don't know shit about Dragon Ball, that's gonna confuse them like hell.
I know, but it's so funny.
It is. But no.
No, I as much as I will defend GT, I will agree with you. It would not be a good move.
I will defend GT's ending till death, but that is the only thing I can defend.
I can defend a couple arcs. There's some parts where, basically, I would say, I make a case that GT, like, half the show can be cut down. There's a lot of pointless shit that happens in between, like, the big plot points.
The problem with GT is that they basically tried, okay, we're gonna make a Dragon Ball Z sequel anime, but it's gonna be more Dragon Ball than Dragon Ball Z. But the problem is that, okay, it's more Dragon Ball, but it feels like Dragon Ball filler.
Yeah.
So they tried, then we'll put more Dragon Ball Z style. Okay, it feels more like Dragon Ball Z, but it feels like Dragon Ball Z filler. You don't win in any of the options.
Yeah, no. But to get back on topic, yeah, I'm sure we'll expand on this when we talk about the declining ratings. So I guess we'll hold it off till then, which will be at the very end. But for now, kind of leading toward that declining ratings topic a little bit, is the second coming of Outlaw Star, which a lot of fans seem to be, both Toonami Classic fans and new fans are excited for. If you checked out our poll that we did for 5 days,
you know what?
I thought that was an interesting poll. It turned out to be 50-50, where people saw it during Classic Toonami or they haven't seen it at all. I'm surprised no one watched it in between. Yeah, right?
You know to me, what's really sad is that Outlaw Star has me more excited than most of the shows on the block or most of the announcements.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Stardust Crusaders. Oh, cool. Dragon Ball Super. Yeah! I hear Outlaw Star. Fuck yes! Yes! Yes!
Yeah. Like that. It broke the internet
from the 90s had me more excited than most of the programming on the block, with the exception of Samurai Jack. That's the only one, but
I completely agree, because
I don't think that's a good sign.
Well, I mean, in some cases regarding the shows, like Dragon Ball Super, I think a lot of people might be sort of turned off by it now, is because we basically just got over the hump of the two movies that came out even before Super got dubbed. So
we're done with filler.
Yeah, basically.
We're now on to original content.
Actual Dragon Ball Super content. Yeah,
actually,
and I think it gets better as it goes on.
Actually, no. This week is if I'm not mistaken, this week is a recap.
Really?
I
don't remember.
I think it's just filler. Like, in between some of the arcs, there's some filler stuff here and there, but basically it's just ongoing of just new stuff, and it just continues on.
Yeah.
But back to Outlaw Star though, I agree with you 100%. Like, yeah, it's exciting that Outlaw Star is making a comeback. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm praying to God that it does successful enough where Toonami may consider maybe doing a season 2, because that is a show that I feel like deserves a season 2.
Yeah,
at least that's kind of continuation. I doubt it'll happen.
I
get it.
That is a pipe dream, but it's a beautiful
pipe dream. Yes, because I feel like that show, and believe it or not, I tried watching my story with Outlaw Star is kind of interesting, because I tried watching it during the classic Toonami era, and I actually didn't like it. I thought it was basically just too weird, kind of like how I was with Fooly Cooly. Like, it was just so different and weird that it turned me off initially. And then years later, I watch it years later, and it ends up being one of my favorite shows now. And now I'm like, I want more Outlaw Star, not just the first season, but I want more of it. I want to explore this world more.
The sad part is
so
that
disappointing.
we're so many years late on this.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
The sad part. Now that we truly know the greatness of Outlaw Star, we're like, fuck, we should have asked for more way back then.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm hoping this may turn into again, it's a pipe dream. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying that. But I hope it does successful enough, and the fact that people even demanded it. This old '90s show coming back on a freaking cartoon block at 12, at whatever 1 in the morning, and it brings in decent views.
2:30 a.m.
Yeah, like the fact that it's even doing
I was
that.
really
Can't deny that.
They actually bothered to do a promo for that, because it's just basically a glorified rerun. But it's nice. It's nice to see that.
But I feel like though too, like it goes beyond like a glorified rerun too, though, because that show made up most of like the most iconic Toonami like music videos and speeches and stuff. In my opinion, "Don't Fear Failure" is the best Toonami speech music video they've done, in my hands down. And I feel like that's another reason why people love that show so much, is because everything that speech talks about is just hits you right to the core. And and just the clips matched up perfect. I mean, it was perfectly done. Perfect. And when you watch the show, you really I admit it, I missed out back then. I truly regret not watching it back in the day. I really do admit it, and I'm sad at it. But I'm glad I've finally come around on it,
I remember watching Outlaw Star when I was young, but if you were to ask me to remember it, I wouldn't say anything because I don't remember. So I was like, this came out in, was it 01 or was it 99?
I think it was 90s.
Was that Tom 1? I think it was Tom 1.
I think it was Tom 2, actually.
So 2000 then. Maybe.
The adaptation,
5 years old.
The show came out in 98, and Toonami picked it up first.
It had to be the 2000s.
It has to
Yeah,
be
2001. 2001.
Okay. It was 01, so I was like 6 years old at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't remember anything about that.
I remember trying to watch it. Because I didn't actually know English, but every time I saw space battles, I was awesome.
Oohs and ahs. And that's another thing too that I think is really underrated about the show. It's one of the most beautiful animes I've ever seen. One of the most beautiful space opera animes I've ever seen. And the fact that we're getting it on HD Blu-ray remastered, trust me, I've been watching the Blu-ray collector's edition, and it's beautiful. It's so nice. It's it's about time.
The Blu-rays are beautiful, and they're fully remastered, and it's just gorgeous to look at.
But to be fair though too, that's the thing. The standard definition looks pretty nice as well for that time, honestly. Like I said, like just the quality of it, the story, the characters, it's a fun time. It's a fun time. I describe it as like a lighthearted Cowboy Bebop in a sense. You're in for a good time for people who haven't seen it. Trust me. Coming from a guy who did not watch it from back in the day, and who's only really truly experienced it and really appreciates it now. Take my word for it. You're in for a good time.
We still don't know the situation on episode 23, I think it is. The Hot Springs episode, whether Adult Swim will be editing that, or they'll have to put a disclaimer or whatever they have to do in order for it to air.
It's basically the boobies episode.
Yes.
If they manage to air it, that's basically like getting a reward because
I mean, that's the problem is that a hot spring episode is actually important to the overall story.
If they air it uncut, it'd be interesting, the ratings.
That's easily a TVMA show.
Yeah, like the day they air the Hot Springs episode, suddenly, whoa! Did they just crack 2 million?
Exactly.
Nah, not for a show that late.
We'll save the day.
But still, though, even disregarding that, like, the show is awesome. It was so high regarded and so high demanded for a reason. Like, it's a great show, very underrated, very underappreciated. And I'm glad that it's getting a second chance. I'm glad it's rolling the dice fucking again. It's great.
And if you question if it's that good, let's put it this way. It aired in 2000. 17 years later, Toonami's willing to give it another go.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't convince...
The fact that people demanded a show in 2017, a show that came out in 1998. Bro, there's a reason for that.
It's a good show. And I'm actually glad they're taking a chance on airing it, even though it's at like 2:30, which is fine. It's old. Probably not a lot of people will watch it.
There's not. I'm kind of overdoing it with the hype and everything, but I believe me, I get it. I'm not expecting it to do amazing. I'm not expecting it to do like 1 million views at 2:30 in the morning. Believe me, I'm not going in with expectations.
It do moderately fine.
Yeah.
People should just be glad that I'm not in charge of programming because I would give it the Cowboy Bebop treatment.
Airing it as late as possible.
Not as much as possible, but keep airing it for years and years and years.
That brings up the question of, is this just a glorified rerun / premiere where they have it for this airing and then it's gone, or will they keep it?
I would say most likely it'll be gone.
And technically,
so you're thinking this is just a one-time deal? They're running it because it was cheap enough to air, but they're not keeping it because it would be too expensive to keep.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, because I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not sure because I still feel like Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell. I can, the guys at Toonami, they love that show. They love both those shows, and also Cartoon Network has somewhat of a tie-in with the second season, standalone complex, and everything. So it makes sense. Outlaw Star, yes, the Toonami crew loves it. The Toonami fans love it. But I don't know, like, I think it might be just like a one-time thing. Like, I would say never. I don't know if they would keep it on the back burner, have it stream on Adult Swim. I don't know.
And to be technical, it's not really a premiere. It'll be what, like the 4th rerun? It premiered on Cartoon Network Toonami, then again on Cartoon Network Toonami, then appeared in Adult Swim in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And then left, so this is like the 4th run.
And
so
even the Toonami crew, yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, for some, I think that it was during that time, classic Toonami era. I think it was during that time when they were kind of trying to push. It was like 2000. When was it? I think it was like 2004 or 5 when they pushed it to the midnight run on Adult Swim. If I remember correctly, right? Something like that?
Something like that?
I feel like that was the time when Cartoon Network was trying to start to push the kid-friendlier shows on Toonami, the Tom Ford era.
Adult Swim launched in
Yeah.
late 01, and then they launched Adult Swim Action a year later. So Adult Swim Action ended up getting a lot of the more mature shows that would have gone to Toonami. But
they got like
Network
Inuyasha, Full Metal, yeah.
Cartoon Network's programming, though, or the higher ups, I should say, did end up grabbing a bunch of kiddie shows because they wanted their demographic to reach specific audience.
Right, the kids, right. So
yeah, and they have no disdain for shows like Hamtaro or Pokemon, but some shows they absolutely did not like or did not want.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it as like a jab at them. What I'm trying to get is like, I just felt like shows like Kenshin, Outlaw Star, Yu Yu Hakusho kind of got fucked over from that change in that transition phase, basically. Like
Yu Yu Hakusho probably got the short end of the stick, no matter where you put it. It didn't. Well, it did fine on Adult Swim. On Cartoon Network, I think it did better.
It did. I think it did better on Cartoon Network, but
quotation marks because I have no clue. But
yeah,
it's just like Yu Yu Hakusho, as far as I remember, never finished its run.
Yes, it didn't.
It was one of those few long runners that were just like, well, we lost the rights to this. You're not airing it anymore.
Yeah, basically it got up to the part with they got up to the final season, but they got through about half, like a quarter of the way through, if I remember correctly. The last episode was like when Yusuke was fighting the other spirit, the rogue spirit detective guy.
Yeah.
When they were
I'm pretty sure most people would agree that even though it premiered on Adult Swim, they kind of label Yu Yu as a Toonami show more than an Adult Swim action series.
Yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho was more beloved on Toonami because to me, and from what I hear from a lot of Toonami fans, is that the big three at that time was Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin. Like a lot of people say, those shows are always in their top 5 or 10.
I really wouldn't know what Toonami's big three would be for back then. Of course, Dragon Ball Z, because that was the premiere show.
But
it wasn't like a premiere. It was like a show that they acquired that ended up becoming this huge success. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Naruto, that ended up becoming like their big hit.
Yep.
After DBZ ended.
Yeah. But from what I've heard, Kenshin, Hakusho, and DBZ were among like the most beloved shows of the entire original run. From what I hear, a lot of people say like that those three shows are always in their top 5, top 10, all the time. Yeah. And my personal big three. So I'm kind of coming from a biased perspective, but that's from what I hear. But like I said, like I felt like those shows, including Outlaw Star, now that I appreciate it more and everything, they got screwed over during that transition run, that transition phase from Tom 3 to Tom 4 in the kid-friendly era, because it's a shame, because those shows are really good.
Well, I think Kenshin's run at that point in time was done.
I would agree, because I've seen what comes after the arc that they finished on, and it wasn't really worth it.
I don't know if they actually ever finished.
They never finished. Okay. They got through the first 2 seasons. I know that for a fact. And after that, it just disappeared. Like most of the shows, like some of them, either.
I believe the network hated that show because it really was like, oh, this show's super violent.
Basically, yeah. And basically, Kenshin, to how I remembered it, Kenshin just fell off the map after Kenshin beats what's his name, the guy that extremely burned with the bandages and everything. Saito, I think his name is, or whatever. Basically, they went through the first 2 seasons, and after that, it disappeared. Just fell off the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just like you said, like the people who were in charge of editing, for content, were like, "Wow, that's a lot of." Yeah.
So after season 2,
you want us to air this?
Season 2, yes. After season 2, Kenshin fell off the face of the map and disappeared forever.
I'm surprised Adult Swim didn't choose to air that.
I don't know. I feel like well, maybe Cartoon Network didn't want to go super violent, and Kenshin was probably the most violent out of all the shows during that era. Like that was probably like the most hardcore.
Yeah, that's not really a show that you should be showing your kid. I mean,
And
I like my samurai battles, but that show can get really intense.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what I really liked about it, though. But
let's be real here. So you're gonna put a show where you can clearly see they're using real swords and real weapons on a kid's block.
Hey, people liked it. people liked it.
I think they aired Outlaw Star, and all the characters had guns. And Big O too. They were using guns in that too.
How about Cowboy Bebop? Cowboy Bebop, like it's intense.
Well, that was on Adult Swim. If I'm strictly sticking
okay,
to Toonami.
Fair enough. But what I'm saying is, like, I would even say like Kenshin is more. I would say is more intense than Cowboy Bebop at times. I would say.
Yeah.
It's pretty up there. Like Kenshin does get intense. I get that. Don't get me wrong. So
it can get
it might have been
slightly silly, but when it goes intense, it goes intense.
Yeah. So like. I guess the reason why Adult Swim didn't do it was because, they were just starting out. They didn't want to go too crazy, maybe.
Oh, I mean, when did Kenshin air?
Kenshin aired, I think, in 2003, I believe.
I mean, Adult Swim could have aired it. I don't know, maybe Cartoon Network acquired it and it was a deal specifically made for Toonami or whatever. I don't know the logistics of contracts, so I'm not sure.
Yep. After episode 48 aired on July 4th, 2000. So at 2003, the series moved to Cartoon Network's Saturday Video Entertainment System block until the completion of the second season, leaving the third season unaired in North America. Yeah. Is from the Toonami wiki, by the way. When was it picked up? Distribution, blah blah blah.
Began airing
March
on
17th, 2003. Yeah.
Oh wow, how could I forget that? The thing about a lot of those old Toonami promos is that I can still remember them.
Yep.
Rurouni Kenshin begins March 17th at 6:30. Only Toonami. I can remember that stuff. Why?
But that's how memorable it was. You remember the clips?
I know,
you remember the sounds?
But it's sad. My memory in general sucks. So why did that stick? Let's change the subject. What was the next subject?
So Outlaw Star turned into a classic Toonami fangasm. Yeah. and Toonami classic history lesson. But no, still though, like, basically what I was trying to get at though is that I felt like those shows got fucked over, and I'm kind of hoping some of those shows do make a return. Like when Dragon Ball Z Kai leaves, I wouldn't mind if Yu Yu Hakusho took that spot, possibly. I'd be down with that. But hey, we'll see what happens. So, well, yeah, go ahead.
No, I said it. That it won't happen.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the Blu-rays look really nice. I'm gonna be honest on that.
I wish it was an option, but even if they did think of doing it, it will definitely not be in an earlier slot.
Yeah, no, I know. Believe me, I'm aware of that.
You dead last.
Yeah. So, with that Toonami classic history lesson, let's move on to something that they have continued with tradition from way back when, and that's the total immersion events. The new one called Countdown, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Did anyone see anything related to Countdown?
I saw that they started a countdown for it recently. But we haven't really seen much, you know. I'm not really sure where it's going. Well, obviously, I think the ship's going to get locked down again, like in the Intruder. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is, that thing that it got basically like a lockdown, but it's okay. So how do we open it?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to go into the other 50 floors that we just found out on the last immersion event that we have. That's the only thing I can think of, and somehow tie a bomb into the whole plot. Or something like, if we don't stop this, if the countdown reaches 0, Toonami will die.
I don't.
I'm not sure. I wish they showed slightly more of countdown.
Well,
Maybe a hint.
that's the
Ish.
point, to get us excited and shit.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying that. Give us 2 minutes of exclusive footage. I'm saying like at least 15 seconds. You know how with Intruder 3 they did like 30-second promos. I'm not even asking for 30 seconds.
Well, I'm sure they'll come.
Seconds.
I'm sure they'll come over time. I mean, the thing premieres, I think, in a month or two, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's November.
Okay. So I'm sure things are going to be coming down the pipe soon.
Yeah.
One can hope.
I was trying to think, like, where would they go with it? Because, like, basically they played with our nostalgia with Intruder 2, bringing back Tom 1 and everything. That was basically a love letter to classic Toonami. Intruder 3...
Intruder 3, which was questionable, but...
they tried to do something a little bit different with Intruder 3, but...
it was basically the last...
Yeah, it was basically, let's get back into space.
Yeah.
That was really the whole point of it.
You could have called it something completely different.
Alaskan bullworm.
It's big, scary, and pink.
That should have been the promo. Alaskan bullworm.
Make it cheesy, like horror themed promo for Intruder 3.
I still wish they went with like a Tremors type of approach to it. Tom meets Kevin Bacon in space. Come on, you all know you wanted it to happen.
Maybe ish. I think I would have preferred if they did a promo like cheesy 60s style horror. But
Do you think the countdown is
still,
gonna? Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
I'm still kind of glad that they didn't go with like the obvious choice for this new one, but for like what's gonna happen, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say the Vindication gets destroyed.
Which at that point we're gonna have a problem because then we would see a pattern.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oh, and
then Tom at the end of Intruder 2 called for a new spaceship, but they said it would take a while.
That is a valid point. I've kind of grown attached to the Vindication, though.
It's a cool ship, but you know, we
well,
shall find out.
The whole thing is, oh man, it's really cozy in this new Absolution. Oh wait, new event. Oh, we lose the Absolution. New base in the sand planet. Yeah. It's really cozy in this base. Oh wait, we gotta get out of here. Oh, it's a ship now. It's really cozy in this ship. Guess what happens next?
Oh, you're talking about the Star Trek plot lines, right? The Star Trek movie plot lines. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it seems really. If what they do is basically destroy the ship, then we're gonna have a problem because then we would have.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really obvious what happens on the next event.
Yeah. I'm looking at like a possible another pattern though too is that they go back and forth playing with nostalgia and then trying something new. So I feel like this may be something that they try with nostalgia again. And I'm thinking maybe the countdown is that the Vindication gets a virus and the virus character returns possibly, or a character similar to that. I think it'd be interesting if there was not a person, but another robot for Tom to fight that gets activated on the Vindication at a certain point. I don't know. Like when the ship part of it activated this other robot or AI or something in the ship, maybe. I don't know. And then he basically hijacks the ship a little bit, and Tom has to work his way around the ship, try to get to the guy, destroy him maybe, or maybe becomes an ally. I don't know. Maybe Sarah, influences this body, and then now she has a full-fledged robot body too. I don't know.
It's better than all of my guesses at this point.
I don't know.
My only prediction about it is that the countdown is that, the ship is running out of fuel. We got to do something to find.
I think it's more than that.
It would be cool. It would be cool actually. I think it'd be interesting if they do go the nostalgia route and they bring back the virus. I think it would be cool if the virus, instead of Sarah shutting down this time, the virus actually infects Sarah, and Tom has to figure out. So basically, the virus is in Sarah's like pixie body thing, floating around Tom, making fun of him and everything, and being like a real dick, while Tom has to figure out a way to save Sarah's pixie body from the virus. I think that'd be kind of cool. And maybe the body gets altered a little bit, where instead of being all friendly looking and everything, it turns into like a wasp design or something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. That could be something.
Could be.
I like that idea.
That could be something.
We're kind of left with this. We don't know what's happening, so basically, it's kind of left it up to interpretation of what's going to happen.
People who watch this, comment below on what you think could happen. Why not? You have nothing to lose. We'll speculate. Well, why not, right?
Yes. I don't know. I'm just I'm interested. I'll check it out.
Tom must race back to his chair before he misses his favorite show on the block.
Tokyo Ghoul.
No!
You're making me miss Tokyo Ghoul, you asshole!
I'm missing
Tokyo Ghoul fans.
I'm missing all the whiny moments. Damn it!
Oh man, I'm surprised Tokyo Ghoul fans hasn't come at us with pitchforks and stuff yet.
Oh, we're small. We're very small compared to larger people.
Fair enough.
Being small, we can say whatever we want, and we won't get destroyed.
Fuck Tokyo Ghoul.
Tokyo Ghoul can take his whiny ass and go to hell.
But Toka, we love you. Well, I love you. Why can't you be the protagonist?
Yeah, that's my main problem with the damn show. He's the most interesting. Everyone else is boring. Yet, I thought Kaneki was supposed to be the main character. So why have we barely actually seen much of him? Last week was basically, it's that other guy.
The problem is the problem with season 2 is that the problem with season 2 is that you get what you want. You basically get what you want in season 2, where you want Toka to be the main character. The problem is all the interesting stuff has already happened. That's the problem. You missed out. Basically, season 2 is just Toka going around moping that Kaneki has left and that she likes him a lot. You missed the character development part where all that emotion develops, and also just her being a ghoul. Since she knows what the crap she's doing as a ghoul, Kaneki was like the fish out of water character. The problem is you focus on Kaneki, but you didn't focus on what ghouls do to survive, other than they're sort of getting hunted down sometimes, and on the side they run this little business thing. Like, I never thought I'd be saying this, but Tokyo Ghoul should have incorporated more of the Twilight plotline, and then it would have been better.
That actually would have made it instinctively more hilarious to watch.
But it still would have made it better. The plot would have been so much better. The character
It's
What?
funny because it's true.
I never thought you'd say that, but Twilight has better character development than Tokyo Ghoul. They're literally the same thing.
Stop.
How dare you make me say that, Tokyo Ghoul? But it's true. But anyway, onto basically more like damning news and shit. The big topic of tonight is declining ratings with Toonami. The last couple, basically the summer ratings have been less than stellar to say the least. And as we mentioned before, it's obvious that the lineup is kind of stagnant and kind of all the same, really.
The funny thing is that they've always wanted the lineup to be this, where they don't have to worry about, oh yeah, by the way, we're getting this new show, but they kind of want to keep that same audience coming back, but it's pretty clear that kind of pushing people away.
Yeah.
Basically they wanted a stable lineup that doesn't change too much. But
which I respect. I respect that idea. But that idea, just in an age where we have access to streaming services, I feel like you need to offer new things to the viewer every now and then.
Either offer new things or constantly have a flow, because if things stay the same, and especially considering that like these are shows that people have seen, like this could be like the Inuyasha effect. I don't know. I think I've mentioned this in past episodes, or in a past episode, where people demanded this show, they wanted it badly, blah blah blah, and they finally get it, but now they're not tuning in and everything. Well, that's a problem. Like if you're the fact that part of the things is like Lupin and Tokyo Ghoul, the reason why these shows are there is because they have been heavily requested. Outlaw Star is another example. We got it finally, and it's exciting. Yes,
you better watch it.
But if we gotta watch it. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to just slowly decline. And if you want Toonami to survive, you gotta tune in. It's as simple as that.
I'm kind of making this up because I should say this: the ratings are fine. Toonami's doing fine.
Yes.
It's just as of right now, television is down. People are dropping cable subscriptions and heading to only streaming services because, well, let's face it, streaming platforms offer up a cheaper alternative from regular cable.
And it also provides more, and just look at how Netflix updates its library every month, I believe, right?
Yeah, they lose shows and movies, and then they add new shows and movies.
Exactly. Pretty much the streaming services basically has adapted the Toonami model, really, where it's they have like a set. Obviously, the library is bigger, but basically it's the same concept where they have their mainstay show, their mainstay stuff, and they constantly have a flow of new stuff as well. And on top of that, they're also developing in-house their own things on top of that to provide. So there's a constant flow of content coming.
I wouldn't call it completely like Toonami, because the way that we consume Toonami shows is basically they acquire this show, it's a dub premiere, or if it's not a dub premiere, it's airing at an early time because it is a premiere technically for them.
Fair enough.
But the thing is like with streaming services and streaming platforms, they offer up, like with Crunchyroll, like I understand Toonami's not after that market because that market is completely its own thing, and what Toonami offers is new people to experience anime or get interested in anime or action shows in general.
Right. Whereas
sites like Netflix, Amazon, Crunchyroll, those options exist because they, if I were to put it politely, is that Toonami is a completely different market. It's its own thing, but the problem lies with the fact that streaming offers more, and you can binge watch shows, you can choose to watch it weekly, and it's all ad-free, whereas Toonami is funded through ads.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a valid point.
Exactly. Basically, the whole declining ratings thing, you have to look at every factor. There's the factor of the lineup getting stale. There's the other factor of a bit of Dragon Ball oversaturation, though that's questionable because, okay, we got Dragon Ball Super.
I mean, DBZ Kai only has like a while left.
But that's still part of the stagnation, though. Like it,
yeah.
Like I wouldn't even, as much as I'm excited for Outlaw Star, though, too. Like I would even make the case of like,
if you have a job, you can buy the Blu-rays. If you have a job, just subscribe to Funimation now and skip all the advertisement. I don't want to say that specifically you should do that. That's up to you.
Right.
I won't be watching Outlaw Star on Toonami because I have a Funimation Now account and I'll just watch it on there.
Yeah, no.
But you know what? That's my choice. I don't feel like staying up late to watch shows, and that's another problem altogether. I know DVR exists, but in a day and age where we can choose whenever and wherever to stream our content, it's inconvenient. The convenience of Toonami is no longer there. It was never really there to begin with because they always started at a late hour, and the only people up would be like college students. People who had jobs and lives after that probably wouldn't stay up that late.
Yeah, no, that's all that is very valid, and it's understandable.
And the problem with once again, like the problem lies of if you miss a show, you have to DVR it. But if you can't, well, tough shit, you can't watch it live. You can't. The only way you could watch it is if you have an Adult Swim login.
Yeah.
Or, a cable
service provider, yeah.
And if not that, you can just stream it, which if you do streaming, well, then you can just find the rest of the show, which is the purpose of tuning into Toonami. So it's, well...
Yeah. But I feel like the saving grace, though, in all this is, in fact, there's a video out there that does a pretty good... makes a pretty good case of like, yes, the ratings are declining per se, but like there are good things on the horizon that are coming. So like I feel like the saving grace with Toonami is the fact that basically the guy said that the two benefits that Toonami has going for right now is, of course, nostalgia, which is always been, like I said, it's the backbone of the community. It's the block's backbone. And also the fact that Toonami is an Adult Swim is investing into basically like sequel shows or in-house stuff as well, like Fooly Cooly. And
I think that should be their model going forward.
I agree. Absolutely.
It's nice that you guys are looking into what's popular, but nowadays, to see, in my opinion, it's not that Toonami isn't relevant anymore, because they certainly have kind of shaped a lot of the landscape of how we view animation and how anime became this big deal in the West. They
made it more respectable to view now.
Yeah,
and have people seek it out. It's basically it made the market respectable.
But the thing is, like, if we're going back to March when Samurai Jack premiered, that was a huge premiere for them, and it did extremely well. Probably exceeded Adult Swim's expectations, where they were basically like, oh, it'll do fine. It's on at an early time slot. But the night it premiered, it beat out college basketball, which is unheard of. And that to me just shows you that people want content and they want stuff to be exclusively premieres.
It also depends on the license, though, too. Like Samurai Jack, a lot of people have been wanting that forever. And so I think if Gindi created an original show, or if there's an original anime in production, I think that may cause... yeah, definitely. I'm not... Yeah, okay, my bad. I didn't mean, like, the usual suspects I keep repeating every week, with Megas XLR season 3, Teen Titans season 6, the whole thing.
Team Bionic Titan.
That.
We will not stop.
But yes, no, I agree with that completely, because that's the only way I think Toonami can succeed going forward, is it continues to bring in original content made exclusively to be aired on the block. Absolutely.
And I mean, that's what streaming services are also doing, because Netflix is also funding their own anime. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon starts jumping on that. And Crunchyroll, of course, is now on production committees for shows. So it's pretty clear that Toonami also needs to figure out what originals that should they bring to the table and what will drive people to watch. I don't know if Fooly Cooly is the answer to that, but I definitely wasn't expecting Samurai Jack to season 5 to do as well as it did.
I would echo that same opinion with Fooly Cooly, but I still think it's going to do well.
Oh, I'm not saying it's going to do bad. I think it's modest.
I hear you. But just to make it clear, we're not saying that it's not going to be like the savior of the ratings per se. But
no.
But what we're saying is that stuff like that, though, because if I remember correctly, when that was announced, that was a big deal. Broke the internet and everything. Like Twitter, it was trending on Twitter and everything. I remember that was a pretty crazy day. So I agree with you 100% that I think that's, people want some original content coming from it, but not just, the usual suspects or licensed stuff that's like sequels to something that's familiar and things like that. We want some new stuff that's never been done before. And yes, it's okay to leech off of the popular stuff. Don't get me wrong, but
I think
it's gotta have a good blend of it.
Yeah, my point is that I don't mind them grabbing the really popular shows, but I feel like they need to sprinkle in a little bit of variety with these licensed pickups. I understand they grab these popular shows because they're like, well, we're bringing in an audience.
They'll bring in an audience, bringing in views, yeah.
And to be clear,
it needs something unexpected.
Like even with the Mamoru Oshii's experimental series, like that's a good
family all meal.
Like even though it wasn't that appealing to everybody, that's a good example of like the things that Toonami should look into. I don't know about live action, but like
I think more experimental stuff like these short films or stuff like that would be interesting.
I feel like it's got to
if we're going by show pickups, I'd kind of like them to spread their options more. I understand they have so much money in a year and they only have so many slots for certain shows. But if you can grab a short show, could you probably follow it up with maybe another short show or something else? Or something that isn't as popular or highly requested? Because I feel like there's a lot of shows that kind of go over because it's just not as requested.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's Michiko Hatchin is a good example.
Yeah, and that did very well for them.
I didn't know what that show was. I didn't know about that show until I saw it on Toonami, and that was just them just taking a risk on it. Because I think I pay attention to the anime industry fairly close close enough where I think I may have heard of it, but I didn't hear that show's existence until it was announced on Toonami, and it ended up being one of my favorite shows to ever air on the block. I thought it was a really interesting show, really well written characters and so on and so forth. I kind of want more shows like that and on a more consistent basis instead of just popular showing anime stuff, Because I agree with you, Sam, where there's shows out there that made, you never know, it may be a surprise hit or something, but I appreciate that they are taking some risks on stuff, but I feel like they should branch out a little instead of just relying on the usual suspects,
Yeah. And and like we said, the block's doing fine. Everything's doing fine. It's not like Toonami's in this decline where it's dying a slow, painful death like it did.
No, it's not. It's not an. It's. I would say it's not like. Pretty much 2008 was like a slow declining death. Like it was a slow flat line.
Yeah.
The worst kind of flat line.
The only show that I could think of that really did well at that time was Naruto, but that's not surprising.
Yes, and also they would show that show every 3 new episodes of Naruto back to back to back.
Get ready for 2 hours of Naruto. What? You want more Naruto? Here's 6 hours.
And what's amazing to me is that people still think that
I'm
Naruto
sorry.
Naruto is the
Get ready
reason.
for the Naruto Mundo.
Yeah. I mean,
Naruto is the only reason keeping Toonami alive at that period.
Thank you, Sam.
Now it seems like DBZ is holding that position. Although I'm not saying the Block's doing horrible or anything like that. Block's doing fine.
It could be doing better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I basically agree with that. Where I feel like Toonami should try to invest into more original content and try to get stuff that's exclusive to them. Because, and I would even say I think they need to step up on the individual like promos and goodies and stuff. Because I feel like they've kind of cut back on that lately. And
They probably still do a lot of those.
They do, but I feel like they haven't done it as often. And I feel like part of that is what makes Toonami unique as well. It's part of the presentation, part of how all the shows connect together and everything. And I feel like a lot of people I get a lot of entertainment value from all the music videos and speeches and stuff on top of that. So it breaks up the stupid ads and everything in between,
Well, I mean, we still need to put in consideration that they are full-time employees of Adult Swim.
Yeah, no,
I cut promos for other shows that they're airing.
Believe me, I hear you.
So, for the most part, I get why you think that, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm not bothered by it. They're still doing their weekly thing where they have something brand new coming out every week. I mean, let's face it, if we're comparing 2012's like goodies to now, it's pretty clear they are on a more consistent schedule.
But I agree. I feel like when was the last goodie?
The last goodie I would say was here. Let me look it up real quick.
I can understand not airing music videos or speeches because those take time.
Yeah.
They did the Outlaw Star promo, and they keep doing Dragon Ball Super.
Well, I think he means like a goodie, like not a promo, but like one of like the speeches or the game reviews or anything like that.
Oh man, it has been a while.
The last game review was Next
Machina. Yeah.
Which was in July or June.
Yeah.
And then
that's about it.
They did Rhyme.
And then they did two, three. It looks like two. Well, don't go by my uploads because those might be late too, from when they actually.
So they did Rhyme's game review. They did Injustice 2 game reviews about a few months back.
Yeah.
They did a promo for Lupin the Third Part 4. They did a little music video / tribute to Samurai Jack for the marathon.
Not that. What was the last music video or speech or whatever?
The last music video.
Trying to find it.
What was the last one? That was probably all the way back in November, maybe. No. I think the Panther Like a Panther for Run the Jewels was the last one that I remember. Oh, the Exquisite Corpse.
I mean, it might be the Moltar rerun live speech re-air.
Well, if we're going with original stuff that they put together, they were
I know.
doing promos for episode, topicals or whatever.
They had the interview for King Arthur,
which
3 months
that movie's not good. They did a bunch of indents for the block. Yeah, the last music video they did was Panther Like a Panther, which was in January.
You see what I mean, though?
Yeah, they've been cutting back on either exclusive music videos or music videos that they've been putting together themselves.
Yeah.
Game reviews, they still happen, but you can tell that we are definitely getting less of those, though, to be fair, the way they do game reviews is if Gil or Jason
plays them.
play
Yeah.
games, then they make the game review. So either they've been playing a lot of games that they don't like, or they just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
So in game review sense, okay, I can kind of see why we haven't had the same amount.
Yeah.
Videos edited by Toonami themselves. I'm guessing it's because of all the other promos that they had to do for
Well,
the
they
episode.
have to keep promoting Super, which probably takes resources away from making some of these.
Yeah. Probably.
I mean, I don't know why they're doing Dragon Ball Super topicals, but
I like them though. I like the
fine.
topicals. I kind of missed that they didn't do them before, but I'm glad that they're doing that.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
series has been
But the thing, but like I said, though, like
topicals.
I feel like could be a little bit more other than the topicals and the promos. You know, just one other thing, like a game review or a speech or a music video. Just something a little bit extra.
I agree.
Yeah, because I felt like classic Toonami, I felt like it had the perfect blend, because the pacing of the blog as a whole, even including like ads and stuff, it worked really well with like all that stuff going together with the promos, with the music videos, and then maybe even a live speech too at the same time. I don't know, but like there was a constant flow. I felt like the consistency of it was better back then than I think now, which, again, I understand why that is to an extent, but I feel like it's part of Toonami's uniqueness to advertise a show and kind of blend all the shows together and kind of promote them in that way. That's how I always took it. Not only am I learning about life, but you're promoting all these shows, you know?
Yeah, it's basically one of the elements that gives Toonami personality. So suddenly not having them kind of takes out the personality.
Yeah.
A bit. So it's a bit basically there's something missing lately.
Yeah, like classic Toonami felt like consistently it felt like a celebration of these amazing cartoons, you know? That's how I always treated it. That you had all these great shows, and the music videos or live speeches, they were like a celebration of all these shows coming together and providing this great content for you. And I feel like that is, in recent years, in current Toonami, has kind of fallen off a bit. But I think the main thing though for it is that they do have to not only do that, but also with the new shows and everything. That's basically a little more content in between the bumpers and some new exclusive stuff coming down the pipe for Toonami, period, end of story. And that could be either a revival, a season 2 to a classic, a brand new, completely original. Don't care. Just, you know, it needs to expand a little bit. It needs to expand its content, I'd say. Its production content.
Yeah.
So, any closing thoughts? Because I would say that pretty much sums it up.
I think to close it out, I just think it's not worth worrying over. At least if we're looking at ratings.
Yeah. It's definitely not close to being in the same level as like when it was in 2008. Because the thing is,
life support, it's doing fine.
Yeah, it's not on life support. Toonami in 2008 was basically life support, where Naruto was the only thing bringing in ratings, and that was it. I would say, even though it may not seem like it, but at least the shows that are on now, even though we'll say that they're stagnant and it's just kind of really stagnant and boring. they're still
works.
doing numbers wise they're still doing fine for those time slots, and that's one of the benefits, because that's one of the benefits of having it in the time slot that it is because the expectations is not as big as well. So because comparing 11 p.m. to 3, comparing to 8 p.m. to 11:30, I would rather have the time slot that we're in now, because Toonami would probably be dead with the ratings that it's getting now if it was at 8 o'clock. So
it'd probably get slaughtered.
exactly. So
Dragon Ball Super can only hold so much, and if you don't have anything strong after it,
exactly.
decline.
So it's actually a benefit. It's actually to Toonami's benefit that it stays in the spot that it is.
Okay. Basically, to anyone who's still worrying about the numbers, simple math. Add the factor, the little detail of people cutting the cord every year, and adding stagnation. This is basically the result. And even then, it's not life support, so keep that in mind. If for some reason Dragon Ball Super at 11:30 is doing 500 total viewers, 500,000 total viewers, not the demographic, just total. If that's the total number, then we start panicking.
Right.
If the shows start getting like only 100,000 and that's it, then you start to panic.
Right.
But we're not there yet.
We're not even close to that yet. Yeah, we're not even close to that yet. And also keep in mind though too, I think we mentioned this before. I think I've mentioned this before in previous episodes too. I've noticed that the summer tends to be a slow time for Toonami anyway, for some reason. I guess people are on vacation, or especially during this time, everyone's going back to school and stuff. So, it's either vacation or school or whatever. The point is, Toonami has been the ratings have been consistently low during previous summers as well. So this is not really anything new as well, I would say. The ratings tend to go up during the winter and holiday season anyway, going into the spring. So at least there's that as well to keep in mind. Yeah. But Silver's right though. If you see all the shows consistently just like 500,000 views or something like that, then that's time to worry. But we're not even close to that. The numbers have been consistent for the most part. It's sporadic, yes, but it's not low per se. It's the total of viewing is still very good for the most part. And basically, I think the shows that are on the horizon will bring in more viewers. I think Outlaw Star may bring in some stuff. Like I said, people are excited for Outlaw Star, which will be surprising. There's good things on the horizon. And the only thing you can do if you are worried, watch Toonami. Tell your friends, watch Toonami. That's the more eyeballs, the better Toonami will be. And that's something that we constantly reiterate on here. It's something that the Toonami crew constantly reiterates. As long as your eyeballs are glued onto the screens. In fact, not even. You could just turn your TV on and just leave it running. Just put it on. Give them the view. Tell your friends. Just put on your TV. Just watch it or something. That's the only. If you're worried, that's the only way that you can combat this. Is watch Toonami and tell your friends to watch Toonami. Promote it. Promote it in any way you can. I tell my friends at work all the time. Watch Toonami, dude. You're into anime so much. Watch Toonami. But there's no need for alarm or anything, and so that pretty much concludes this episode of the Toonami Squad podcast sessions. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm your host, Eric Casey, also known as eRockstar5 on Twitter.
Sam. I'm a writer.
He does things.
And I'm Silver. I do thumbs and stuff.
And with that, this concludes episode 15 of the Squad Sessions. We'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it. Adios.
Later.
責めないで消さないで負けないで誰だって持ってるはず譲れないもの